call the meeting to order. So the first agenda item is discussion and possible recommendations on changing the ethics policy. Jeff D'Onofrio and Kate Wall did send us an email with the red line changes, which arose out of our last meeting. So I'm just going to open it up for conversation. Does anyone have any comments on those changes or proposed changes?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
Okay, so that whole paragraph was crossed out, but don't we need to keep that in to get that information?
Do me a favor. What are you referring to? Is it the ethics policy or the?
Oh, the financial statement, in the financial interest statement. Paragraph 3.
Okay,
under
so
employers.
Thanks. Let's start with that financial statement. Okay, go ahead.
Because I think in the ethics policy, there was a couple of places that refers to information that's listed there, but now it's being removed. Is that correct?
Well, under where it's crossed off underneath, there is language that says employment.
Right, but that's different. I'm making reference to any business, corporation, partnership that they have an interest in. Was our intent to remove all that?
So the revision that you're talking about is to section 110B, right?
Well, what I'm referring to right now is the financial, financial interest statement. Paragraph 3.
Lost the video.
Jeff, can you hear us? Oh, he's lagging.
Well, you're all back now. I lost you all for a minute. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. So Sue was referring
Can you hear
to. We got you. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sue's referring to the financial interest statement, paragraph 3.
So we're looking at section 1-10.
I think that's the
B, right?
So you're looking at the ethics policy. Sue's bringing your attention to the financial interest statement.
Number 3.
Thank you.
I keep losing everybody.
Oh.
Hey, Jeff. So instead of looking at the financial statement, let's go through the policy itself. All right, because what will happen is the financial statement is going to have to probably be changed after everything's done to the policy.
Okay.
All right, so look at the policy itself, and that's what Steph has worked on. And then whatever happens in the policy will be changed in the financial statement.
Let me get my phone.
Yeah, the financial statement may.
I'm just this connection. I keep losing it. The WebEx. I keep losing the audio. Just a slow iPad, slow laptop.
Did it help last time, Kate, if we muted everyone else who wasn't talking? I don't remember if that helped or not.
I would like to, but then I'm concerned that people they'll get frustrated. All right, so I would suggest starting with the policy, looking at especially the things that Jeff.
I'm just going to call because it's freezing constantly, okay?
Yep.
So if we're going to start with the policy, should we start with 1-10, statement of financial interest, filing requirements, that first paragraph? That's where it starts.
Yes.
Yeah, so those are the proposed revisions sent from Jeff and Kate after our meeting.
Okay.
Right.
So any comments on those? I just want to open it up to you all on that.
Right. The first, if I could, the first edit we made to A1 was what was talked about, which is limiting the requirement to elected officials, department heads, town manager, board of ethics members, corp counsel, and other town employees as the town manager shall designate. So instead of saying other management level employees who have purchasing authority, it's limited to those identified personnel.
Are any of those in a
That
union?
was well, elected officials aren't. I mean, potentially other town employees as the town manager shall designate, but it says subject to the applicability of any collective bargaining agreement.
Okay.
So that's how the union issue is dealt with.
A lot of the department heads are in middle management. It's the top managers that do not have a union. But we went back and forth on this, and Arosh wants to keep in the department heads.
Okay.
Yeah, because the department heads have purchasing power.
Okay.
For influence over purchasing, I should say.
So does it
So is
matter
that-
that, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Does it matter if they're in unions? Because I think some of the issues were that some of the union leaders were telling employees not to submit a financial statement because it
Well,
conflicts with their contracts, right?
Well, we've covered that by saying subject to the applicability of any collective bargaining agreement.
Okay.
So I wouldn't recommend that we completely exclude anybody who's in a union because it may well be in the future that these policy applicability is a topic of bargaining.
Okay.
You know, if it's important to the town, it may well be that Labor Council gets a concession on that in future collective bargaining agreements. So the other edits that were made in 110A1 were designed to clarify, based on the last meeting with you all, what the obligation is. So we added, you know, the purpose is the disclosure to be made by anyone, including any real estate owned by a corporation, trust, or partnership of which such person being the official employee, spouse, or dependent, holds at least a 5% ownership interest. So that's what that clarification was. And likewise, the other clarification that you see redlined is, again, from which the official employee, spouse, or dependent is paid at least $10,000 annually, and the name of any business entity, including corporations, partnership, trusts, and limited liability companies, in which the official employee, spouse, or dependent owns at least 5%. So that's just cleaning up the language because there seemed to be some ambiguity in there. So we're just cleaning that up to make it clear what we're talking about.
Okay.
To Sue's point, Jeff, is that reflected at all in the interest statement? Is that language trapped there?
Not yet.
Okay. So that's
Yeah,
gotta be, go ahead.
That was my question because here they're asking you to name it And, you have to write it down. If the whole paragraph was eliminated, where would they write it? Where would they disclose that?
Yeah, once the commission has a consensus on what you want to go to council with, we can make any final edits to the form as well.
Yep.
Okay. My only comment, Jeff, was 110C. Should the language of 110C now track the language of A1, which says department heads, the town manager, board of ethics members, corporation counsel, and any other town employees? So should that exact language be put into C as far as who's going to get the notice?
So what you're saying, Kevin, is the first sentence requires the town clerk to mail the statement of financial interest to all persons holding public offices specified, and to provide a copy to HR to provide to all new employees. Is that the sentence that you're looking at, or is it later on?
Yeah, good question. So it's in C, it's the 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, so you're talking about the red line text.
Well, even before that, where the blue line starts, the town clerk will also mail the ethics policy and acknowledgement of receipt to all elected officials and all board and commission members. Should that line just be identical to what's shown in A? Department
Yeah,
head.
that's a good point. That's a good point, because we ought to just make it simple by referencing A1 in there. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that would make it easier on Kate, or to just, those are the people who it gets mailed
Yeah,
to.
that's an easy one. Sure, that's a good one. Yep.
Okay, that was my only comment. So whoever else has comments, please feel free to take the floor.
If you continue further on section 1-11, distribution of the policy, it says to be distributed to every town employee except the police department. Should that be specified also?
No, it's the policy versus the statement of financial interest is two different things.
Oh, okay.
Policy applies to every employee, every elected official, every appointed official, without exception.
Gotcha.
Okay. So we'll make that edit. Kate, I'll make that edit to 110C to match 110A1. Other than that, are we good on the policy?
I have another question. Section D. Do we also want to notify the employees, supervisor, or chairman of the commission if they're not in compliance? Do we want to include that step still? What's everybody's feeling on that? I don't think it's necessary or may cause more work or confusion.
Well, I mean, the issue is, quite frankly, the town clerk has been taking some flack over not sending reminders to people to sign the statement of financial interest, and it really shouldn't all fall on the town clerk to chase people for it. So, from my, certainly it's up to your commission, but from my perspective, we talked to the town manager about this. If we could get some cooperation from the chairmen and chairwomen of the boards and commissions whose members are required to file it, that would be helpful.
Okay.
Because my concern is that, you know, Kate can follow up with people as contemplated by the policy. But, you know, ultimately, if we have an issue and somebody claims they didn't receive it or that they didn't understand what their obligation was, I think it would be helpful to have the individual chairs who have a much smaller group of people under their purview and can, you know, see them at least once a month at their meetings to be able to remind them, hey, we're waiting on this from you. That's just my 2 cents on it.
So I have another question for Kate, which is on a different subject of the policy. Does it have to go out on December 1st? I was just asking because I know it's around the holidays and people may get it and say, oh, you know, throw it aside and then, you know, get to it when I get a chance because of all the holiday stuff going on. And that may be one reason why people forget about it. Is that date imperative? Or I know when you're coming off of an election, the new people elected would have to do it. But I was just curious about the timing on it.
I'm just following the policy, whatever you guys want. But it's supposed to be, especially the financial statement, is supposed to reflect the past year.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. It's supposed to reflect what?
The past year, last year.
Last year. Okay. Okay.
I don't know what to say on that. Does it matter if it's June 1st or December 1st? I mean, if that's your obligation to file a financial statement of interest on December 1st, I think it's the responsibility of an employee to do that.
June starts dog licenses, and we're usually inundated with, we have to get dog licenses out at the beginning of June. So, I mean, we'll do whatever you ask, but.
Well, from a logistical perspective, what makes more sense?
To somebody else, no.
Well, I know it's an effort any time of year, right? We understand that.
It's a pain.
It's an effort. We get that. But
No, you guys have been great, and I'm joking. But I would say I understand the holiday thing, but I mean, you can't. It's just that June is. We got like 3,000 dogs, which is just sometimes crazy. But I understand what Sue was saying about the holidays, but when I've got a lot in, I mean, a lot of them have come in. Unfortunately, it's staff member the audacity to get married last Friday, and she's on her honeymoon. We have it was done at town hall, it was great. But we have a lot that have come in, and I can, when she comes back, have that updated and even send it out to you so you can see it. But I think because we're going to send out another reminder beginning of January, that hopefully that will help people remember. And a lot of the people that have been submitting, especially the Exhibit A, this is the acknowledgement, they've done it for years. So they're used to it. They see it. We send out a lot of in December, so they're used to hearing from me.
I mean, I think the idea probably is early on in the year to get an updated statement of interest, so that for the calendar year, you have information on file about people who are making decisions. But
Right.
I mean, I guess I agree. It probably doesn't matter when it comes in. I also agree with the point that Nina made that it's your responsibility. Just get it done. Just to paraphrase.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was just thinking that, the more people that return it, the less follow-up afterwards, and they might get a better turnout when it's not around a holiday time, because I know myself even, I got it and I put it aside, and then I had to go do holiday shopping and this and that, and then I'm like, oh my God, I just put it in the mail today, it's like, there's a lot going on around the holidays, and you may tend to forget it or put it aside, and, I'm just thinking what would be the easiest all around, that's all.
I thank you for that. I appreciate that.
It'd be less you
Yeah.
have to deal with, because more people may return it quicker.
I mean, does the first Friday in January make more sense? I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. Which some years could be January 1st, Kate.
First time around or second time around?
Right.
Mhm. I mean, if you want to change it to January, that's fine.
And the new appointments usually come in, November? Is that when?
No, the elected officials are November, you're right. And then that's what we're working on now is everyone whose term is up in, most of the boards and commissions are the end of January. So that first meeting in January, this year's going to be January 5th, they'll have 40 boards and commission members whose terms are up. And we start getting in all their applications and everything along those lines. And then the second meeting in January is where the council starts doing their appointments.
Okay.
And that's a perfect, those guys, that's perfect there. Because as they come in to be sworn in, we hand them the Exhibit A and the financial, if we're supposed to, the financial statements and the policy. Most of the boards and commission members are only the Exhibit A, the acknowledgement of the policy, and they'll sign it right then and there. So that group of people are the best. Every now and then we'll get somebody who'll say, well, I want to bring it home and look at it. But they're really the easiest group for us to capture.
I mean, does mid-February make sense then, where not all appointees will be appointed by then, because there might be some debate by the council that goes on for several meetings, but you would think the majority of appointees would be in place by February, right?
Yes, but I don't want to get into a situation where somebody says, I don't have to do it now. I can do it in February. Especially capturing that big group of people on in January.
Okay, good point, because you, as you just said, you can easily ensnare the new appointees when they come in to give their oath. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and we're in Berlin, we do ask that people are sworn in before they sit on a board or commission. So they're pretty good about coming in before they go to a meeting.
Okay, so I guess I don't have any strong feelings on this, Sue, Nina, and Anne Marie, so either way makes sense to me if anyone wants to make a recommendation.
I don't.
I would think would be up to Kate, because she's the one dealing with it.
Yeah.
If she has a preference,
Pick a date, Kate.
Do you
Please.
feel? How do you feel, Kate? What makes more sense, December 1 or January?
I was going to go for leap year. No. I would like to keep it with December 1st. I understand what Sue was saying, but I think because now, it's something that has come up, and we will follow up. We'll follow up in January, and we'll be cautious, but we will also, remind people. So as was suggested, we're going to send out an email with the receipt, and then try to get that into line, and then I'll go to the chairs if we don't hear anything from them then, and I'll let you know.
Okay.
All right, if there's a problem, maybe like in February or March, I can let you know that I'm not hearing from people.
Just to back up, and I apologize, I didn't pipe up earlier on this. I was reading the section as you were talking about it, but 110D. So we had an issue with the second notice, and that doesn't seem to be, there's no at least proposed change right now, but should there be a return receipt? In other words, should the second notice to the head of the commission or the supervisor be a return receipt email also, so that there's a record of it? Because it triggers 30 days, the ability for someone to make a complaint and have a hearing triggers 30 days after the notice, but we really have no idea when a notice is given unless there's some, record of it. So should it read the same way as the initial notice, that there's going to be a return receipt requested? That's how the notice from the town clerk will come, by an email to the person that's got to then follow up with the employee.
So we're talking about 110C, right?
So this is D, and there's it says if the individual continues not to comply with the requirements within 30 days after the second notice. So that's the fifth line down. It starts.
Right.
Then the individual will be called to come before the Board of Ethics. But there's really no sort of specific way that second notice has to come. It's somewhat ambiguous. It just says the town clerk has to follow up with the head of the commission or the employee supervisor. So the town clerk, Kate, might be thinking, well, is that just a phone call? Or if I see him in the hallway, does that count? My suggestion is it should be a little bit more concrete, where we say, just like the notice to the employee is sending an email, return receipt requested, maybe that second notice should be the same requirement, that it's an email. Hey, these three members of your commission have not provided us their financial statement yet. Pursuant to section 110D of the ethics policy, I'm following up with you. Please tell them to get their paperwork in.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to the commission. I mean, my feeling on this is, usually when you see municipal codes of ethics, you don't usually see notices, even notices of complaints after probable cause findings going certified mail. It's usually, it's somebody that lives in town. We have an address for them. We send it, mailbox rule. If it doesn't come back, it's deemed received. But if the commission's more comfortable with it going certified mail, I certainly don't have an issue with that.
I don't know if it needs to be certified mail because Kate, most or maybe all supervisors and heads of commissions have a known email address, I would think. So so you're just going to shoot an email saying, we haven't received this yet. This is the second notice starting the 30-day time frame. And what I'm looking at is if we then have to have a hearing because someone makes a complaint, now there's no argument that I didn't get that second notice, or how do we, the policy is we sent it to your supervisor by certified email. I'm sorry, return receipt requested email. He or she got it. You didn't respond.
So Kevin, if you look at the paragraph above it, it does say, the reminder will be sent by certified mail. That was added in blue.
Yes, but what Kevin's referring to is when I tell the employee supervisor, or I report to the chair of the committee, and I email, say, Chairman Hines, and I say, Sue and Nina have not sent me in their financial and their acknowledgement. he wants, when I email him, he wants me to do that as a return receipt.
Yeah, so good point, Sue. The first round of notifications and the reminder require the return receipt on the email. I guess my suggestion is that the second notice in D has the same requirement. It just tightens it up a little bit, in my opinion, where no one could then come in and say, my supervisor didn't get this. There'll be a record of it.
Well, yeah, it does say, a reminder for the first week of January. And so that is the 30-day follow-up from the first notice. So the reminder is going out to anyone who didn't return it 30 days later. And it says, if the member does not have an email address on file, it will be sent by certified mail. In blue, it was added in.
Right, in my reading of that, and
That's the
maybe,
second notice, right? Because it says in January, that 30 days after the first notice.
Right.
so that, it says to the elected official or board and commission member who has not filed the proper paperwork. So to me, that's not the second notice, that's just a reminder of the first notice. Because it doesn't go to the level of the next step yet.
Yeah, I mean, if everybody agrees that that second notice should go via email, we can just make that revision and say, as we did in C, that if there's no email address on file, it goes by certified mail.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, that's fine. I can make that edit.
And I don't know, just so I want to make sure Sue and I are on the same page. So C, I don't think discusses the second notice to the head of the commission or the employee supervisor at all. It's just the first notice, a reminder, and then D goes to the second notice. That's how I'm reading it.
But it says a reminder the first week of January. So that would be the second. That's 30 days after December 1st.
Okay, but the reminder is not to the person supervisor or head of the commission they're on. It's just a reminder to the person.
To the person,
Yeah.
yes. Right.
So what Kevin's talking about is under D, and it's the fourth line down,
Mhm.
where it says the town clerk shall also notify the employee's supervisor or the chair. He wants that done where I get a return receipt by emailing
Oh,
them.
okay.
That's where it is.
So you're getting acknowledgement from both, from the supervisor and the person from the second, okay.
Yeah. Yep.
You're right, though. It is confusing the way it's read because there is a first notice, a reminder, and then what we're calling a second notice, which is actually, I guess, a third notice.
I mean, this to the supervisor.
Correct.
Yeah, when is that done? Is that done in conjunction with the second notice? Or if they don't comply,
I'm
30
gonna
days
take
after the second notice?
Can we call it notice -A1 and notice?
Uh, No, but seriously, when does the supervisor get notified? At what point? Because I don't think it says it here, right? Oh, it says 30 days after the second notice. It does say. Oh, no, that goes on to the Board of Ethics. Okay.
I mean, it's a good point. Like, how is that sort of played out?
That would be done, it looks like in conjunction to going to the person. The second notice goes to the person, it also goes to the supervisor. Because then after, in paragraph D, after talking about the supervisor, then goes on to say, if they're still not in compliance 30 days after the second notice, then you go to the Board of Ethics.
Right.
So I would think the supervisor would be notified at the same time during the second notice.
So are we calling it a second notice then?
I'm sorry, whoever just said that was sort of garbled.
that was me. So is the reminder a second notice then? Or we have the initial mailing, we have the reminder, and then we have the second notice?
No, the reminder is the second notice.
So the reminder is the second notice then, okay.
Yeah, you have the notice, and then you have the reminder,
Yeah,
and
that's it.
if they still don't respond, then the town clerk is going to notify their supervisor or the chairman of the board or commission that they sit on.
Okay,
If they still don't respond, then they're coming to the Board of Ethics.
okay.
But we're going to amend D to reflect that notice that goes to their supervisor or chairman is by email or certified mail return receipt requested if we don't have an email address for them.
Okay.
Okay.
But
That-
at what point is the supervisor getting that? Are we waiting 30 days after non-compliance of the second notice? Because here it says that goes to the, there's 30 days of non-compliance of the second notice. So the way you describe it, it almost sounds like we wait until 30 days after the second notice, then notify the supervisor.
No,
But
that's
according
not what
to
it
this-
says.
No, I know, but the way you just explained it.
No, what I said is if they don't comply within 30 days of when the notice goes to the supervisor, then it goes to the Board of Ethics. I didn't say that you
Right.
wait 30 days to notify the supervisor.
No. I guess my question is, when is the supervisor notified that they're not in compliance? 30 days after the second notice?
Well, you've got Kate sending a reminder the first week of January,
Right, that's the
Okay.
second notice.
right? And so
Okay.
at any point after that, I mean, if you want to specify a date by which you want that notice to go to the supervisor, if you want to say February 1, we can do that. Is that what you're saying, Sue?
Well, by February 1, if they didn't comply, it's ready to go to the Board of Ethics according to this, because it says not comply with requirements within 30 days after the second notice. So February 1st.
So I think
So
this,
they need to be,
the,
yeah, they
the-
need to be notified earlier than February 1st.
I don't think my reading of this and C, I think here's where we're getting tripped up. The reminder in C is not the same as the second notice that's being referred to in D.
That's
They're
right.
they're totally different things.
That's right.
And I know that's confusing, but
Yep.
it's a confusing way to write it, I guess. But and that
I thought the reminder and second notice was the same thing.
No, the second notice is what's going to the supervisor.
Oh, so you're referring to the notice to the supervisors being the second notice.
That's the way I read D because it says this second notice, which relates back to the prior sentence, which is the notice to the supervisor. Is that how you read it, Kevin?
Yeah, it's almost like, hey, here's one formal notice. You're getting this mailed.
Yeah.
We're gonna give you the courtesy of reminding you, but if you continue to fail to comply, we're gonna do a second formal notice to whoever's your supervisor.
Right.
So then it should say 30 days after the reminder, if they didn't comply, then it goes to the supervisor.
Yeah, you can specify. Right, and I think somebody suggested February 1, but if you want to do it, I mean, however you guys want to lay that out.
Okay.
So then, another 30 days after that would be March, and if they still didn't comply, then it goes to the board.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
I gotta go in 2 minutes. I got a board of finance meeting at 7. So if you have anything else for me, please let me know now.
I think just that obviously whatever changes are made have to be carried over to the financial interest statement,
Yes, sir.
and then we probably need to review it and ratify it one more time too before it goes to the town council.
Okay.
But I don't want to cut anyone short who has any other input on this. And we can probably do that without your presence, Jeff.
Okay, Kate will let me know. I understand the edits that I need to make to the policy based on what we've talked about. If there's anything else, Kate will let me know.
Great, thanks for
I have
joining
one
us.
more quick question for Jeff.
Okay,
In the financial statement, you're asking for the name of your employer, and then it says if other than the town of Berlin. Would we want to know if their spouse is employed with the town of Berlin?
Don't get bogged down with that, Sue. Those were my notes.
Oh, okay.
Jeff and I, that's what we talked about. So
Okay,
don't get bogged down with that financial statement yet.
okay,
You got to get through the policy first.
okay, gotcha,
Okay.
gotcha, okay.
All right. And I want to thank you for bringing that out. Jeff, you can go. I don't want to keep you.
thanks, Jeff.
Thank you,
I'll
folks.
see you
Have a
next
Merry
time.
Christmas.
You too.
Merry Christmas.
Nice holiday.
Thank you.
Sue, thank you for kind of figuring that all out, because I'm sitting here going, I don't get that. And what days are days? But I like the idea that we have it where the first notice is out December 1st. The second notice goes out, I have it for the week of January, first week of January. And then it can be the first week in February for the notice to the supervisor. That's never really been clear in here. It's always been like mud.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah, this must be clear. Yeah,
I mean, we could even, it's a good point, Sue. It's confusing, but we could even ask Jeff to say first, second, and third notice. That might be clearer than a reminder.
right, because I was getting confused, and you don't want anybody to get confused. These are 3 steps, First step, 30 days later. Second step, 30 days later. Third step, 30 days later, Board of Ethics.
Yeah, maybe suggest, if anyone has a problem with what I'm about to say, maybe suggest that to Jeff, Kate, that it should be first, second, and third notice, just to clarify it, because reminder is very ambiguous.
Yes.
So if we have something like the first notice is December 1st, the second notice first week of January, and the third notice to the supervisor is beginning of February, the first week of February.
Probably, I would imagine.
That timeline makes sense to me, and then it makes it clear to the town clerk, like here are the steps.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that a lot. Thank you.
So, Kate, what instructions are given to the supervisor or the head of the commission? I mean, what are they being told? I mean, as to the responsibility or whatever.
Well, what it says is that I notified the supervisor or the chair that the member or the department head is not in compliance.
And that's why I like the more formal notice, because it takes a little bit of the weight off of the town clerk, and it says, here it is, informal notification to you. You can't ever say the town clerk didn't get me the information. You got the email. Now it's in your hands, supervisor. Okay, anything else, Sue, Nina, or Anne Marie on those potential changes or requested changes?
No.
No, not within the policy.
I'm good.
Okay, so we'll wait to get the proposed changes from town council, and not only to the ethics policy, but to the financial interest statement based on the proposed changes to the ethics policy.
Do you want to set up a meeting in January, Jeff? Or do you want to wait? I mean, Jeff.
Yeah, no problem. I would say as soon after you're able to get us the proposed changes as possible. So if you think, keeping in consideration when the town council meetings are, so that I guess the goal would be to get a final proposed version to go to the town council after our next meeting.
All right. So the first meeting in January is January 5th. And,
So we're not gonna, we're not gonna be able to get a meeting before then.
um, do you want to look at January 6th to have a meeting? That's a Wednesday.
What day did you say, Kate?
It's a Wednesday.
What date?
Oh, January 6th.
Yeah, that should be fine for me.
I'm open.
That would
Okay.
be, yeah, that looks good. I guess the hard part would be on yourself and Jeff, because next week is Christmas and then the following week is New Year's, but if he thinks he can crank out those proposals before then, great.
And if there's a problem, I'll let you know. You know, I don't know. I don't know if he has any vacation or anything. I know his kids are in college, so I don't know if they're coming home.
Okay, so what do you want to do tentatively, the 6th at 6?
Yes. At least have a date in mind. We need to move it out to the next week. We can.
Great.
Or unless that's too tight for people. Is that too much with the holidays and everything? Would you prefer just to do it on the 13th?
Or with the COVID, I'm not that busy.
I guess it doesn't matter because the next town council meeting probably won't be till February after that, right?
The next one is, yes, well, it will be January 19th. And then the meeting after that will be February 2nd.
Okay. So how about the 6th? Then that way, if for some reason we still need more changes, we have another week.
Yep.
Okay.
Works for me.
Great. Okay, so the next agenda meeting is approval of December 2nd, 2020 minutes. Anybody have it? Go ahead, sorry.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
I second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, good job, Dana, thank you. Okay, so that's the last agenda item. We have a potential meeting set for the 6th. Any other comments from the members? Okay, motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Great, thanks, everybody. Appreciate tremendous preparation for this meeting. Thank you.
Thank
Merry
you all.
Christmas.
Okay, Merry
Have a nice
Christmas.
holiday.
We'll see you next year.
Okay.